This letter is from the Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Nevarez. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Nevarez, I have the honor to extend to you the commendation of the Navy Department as well as my personal congratulations on the fact that you have serving in our nation's armed forces 7 sons as follows: Daniel Ramirez Nevarez, Seaman 2nd Class; Encarnacion Nevarez, Seaman 1st Class; Felix Nevarez, Seaman Class 1; Frank Nevarez, AS, whatever that is, Commissary Stewart, I guess; Gilbert Ramirez Nevarez, AS; Manuel Nevarez, Gunner's Mate 2nd Class; and Private Samuel Nevarez, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. The splendid manner in which your 7 sons have responded to the colors and the fine records they possess reflect the sense of loyalty and patriotism they have learned at home. This courage will make the cause of freedom prevail. Sincerely yours, James Forrestal, Secretary of the Navy. I was born October 7th, 1929, to my parents, Francisco Nevarez, and my mother, Natividad Ramirez. I was born at White Memorial Hospital in Los Angeles. And my parents both are they migrated into this country from Mexico to work for the railroad. And I'm the youngest of 8 brothers and 3 sisters. And there's 1 sister that was younger than me by 1 year. My father was born in Santiago Papasquiero, Durango, Mexico, and he was employed by the mines. That's where he made his living. And from there he migrated north to Chihuahua, Santa Rosalia, Chihuahua, where he met my mother. In 1924 he was ordained by the Assemblies of God, Springfield, Missouri, and so was my mother, to minister for the Assemblies of God, which he did for about 26 years. They founded 3 churches, one in Huntington Park, 2 in East Los Angeles, and Sendero de la Cruz, La Puerta Abierta, and La Aposento Alto, which later moved when they, and on that site, the Aposento Alto, they built the Latin American Bible Institute, which is presently at La Puente, California, for ministry, for training young men or young women into the ministry.
Go ahead.
I enlisted in the Marine Corps November 25th, 1946. I trained in San Diego Marine Corps Recruit Depot, and from there I was shipped overseas to the Marshall Islands. And also we were assigned to, I was part of a group of would you call it a work party to go out into the chain of islands and the Marshalls to destroy a lot of ammunition, destroying marine engines, destroying automobiles, all Marine Corps transportation, all forms of Marine Corps transportation. And from there I got married, was married to my late wife for 46 years, and then I raised 4 children, and my son also became an Air Force veteran from Vietnam. My brother Francisco joined the Naval Service, and I can't tell you the year, but he became a quartermaster. And he was assigned to the Heights Hospital in Oahu. And there he remained until such time as he was discharged. He was a non-combatant. He was taking care of all of the hospital requisitions and requisitions, whether it be materials for the hospital or whether it was food or whatever for the hospital. That was his job. Yeah, my brother Manuel hired on as a welder at North America, same company I worked for, the Rocketdyne division. And from there he transferred to, I don't know whether it was because of layoff, he went to work for Douglas Aircraft in Long Beach. Felix was a chef at Paul's Duck Press on, what is it, the 6th Street, where Sears and Roebuck is, 6th Street, and near Santa Fe. And he had a wife and two daughters. And he, like I say, that was his last trip. He didn't return. Out of all of us, I mean, he was the only one that didn't return. Well, the telegram was delivered, and of course, you know, the shock of losing a son, you know, that's what my mother went through, which was, at the time, she was praying that maybe there may have been, you know, some survivors, because they didn't declare him dead. They just missing in action. The submarine was overdue, and that's the way it was until such time as the end of the war. They finally came out with the fact that it was blown up by the mines. Gilbert, again, he was on board ship as a cook, and I don't remember exactly the name of the ship. I think it was like Farragut or something like that. Sammy was he was a Pearl Harbor survivor due to the fact that when he quit school, he went into the CC camp. From the CC camp, he went straight into the Marine Corps, and he was at Pearl Harbor December 7th, 1941. Anyhow, Sammy got shot here in the wrist by one of the bullets from the Zero that came in over the sub base. And to my knowledge, maybe that was the first Purple Heart ever given to anybody in World War II. And it's not a matter of record, but he was one of the first ones that got wounded there. And he eventually, of course, went with the 1st Marine Division into Guadalcanal. Well, the only thing he told me that in Guadalcanal, him and another Marine were the sole survivors of a platoon, or the company that he was with. And they were lost for about 6 or 8 days. And he lost everything, lost the sea bag and everything. All his records were even lost. And that's about the only thing he ever talked about when they got lost. Daniel was a minesweeper. I believe it was on him, the USS Consul. And Danny, he wasn't right after the war. He was right as far as he was an upholsterer also. He had his own business. He set up his own business. He used to work with Frank, my brother Francisco, at the furniture place out there in Los Angeles. And Frank got him a job as an upholsterer, and eventually Danny ended up opening up his own shop, and he moved out there to Paris, California, which his son is right here.